Sometimes chess is very surprising, and sometimes it's very hard to find the critical moment in a game. And that was the case in the game between Gukesh and Nakamura at the Norway Chess this year. And Gukesh had a difficult decision to make, but he didn't feel that this was a critical moment. And that's why I decided to show you this game. Nakamura white, Gukesh black, and white took on g6 in the last move. So black has to take this knight, and black has three options. Black has h takes g6, f takes g6, or queen takes g6. And this was a very important decision because one move loses immediately on a tactical way, one move loses, but in a positional way, and one move is fine and holds equality. And for me, it was very difficult to understand why this is the case, because it looks like every move is possible. Maybe when you have seen the tactical way, you have the decision between two moves, but these two moves looks very similar. But yeah, it's very important. So if you like, you can pause the video and try to find the best move for black. H takes g6, f takes g6, or queen takes g6. What do you think? Yeah, we can first have a look at queen takes g6. I also have the Mephisto Phoenix chess computer with me, and we can have a look at it. And this was the wrong move, which has, tactical problems. The biggest problem is the back rank issue that black has. And if white gets heavy pieces to the last rank, then it's over, and that's the case after rook takes b8. And if black takes back on b8, then queen e8 is mate soon. And if black trades queens first, then white can just take the rook on f8 with check, and then take back on e4 and is a whole rook up. So that's why queen takes g6 is not a good idea. So what else? H takes g6 or f takes g6. Both have some advantages. H takes g6 is the principled move because you take back towards the center, and that's usually the way you should take, so that your pawns come closer to the center and control more important squares. But also f takes g6 looks logical. You open up the rook on f8, and you don't open the h line where the king on h8 is. Yeah, so what is the best move? It is h takes g6. This is the only move. This is equal. Maybe white is a little bit more active, but it's completely nothing. The computer says 0, 0, 0. We also have opposite colored bishops and similar pawn structure, so this is not much. But Gukesh played f takes g6, and this move loses positionally. Why? The problem is that black cannot bring the king out from h8. And there it always had this back rank issue, and black has to keep the rooks or the queen on the last rank. And of course, this is not what you want for the whole game. And black cannot break out because to create some squares for the king, you have to move the h-pawn. But if you move the h-pawn, the g6 pawn will be hanging. And with the bishop or queen on g6, it's still very bad for the king. And if you move the g-pawn first, then it's mate on h7. So you cannot move the g-pawn. And you cannot help your king in the corner. You can also not play king g8, because then bishop c4 check, and the king has to go back to h8. So the king is completely trapped on h8. And this is difficult to understand at this point of the game. Gukesh didn't see these problems. And yeah, that's why he took with the f-pawn, was happy for his rook. But then he slowly realized that this was a huge mistake, and Nakamura just played a beautiful game. White has also one plan to attack the king on h8. White can bring the h-pawn, h4, h5, and attack the pawn on g6, and this one is pinned because of the mate on h7, and black cannot do anything. So I will just show you the game, and you will see Gukesh was not able to create some counterplay. It's just very, very bad for black. Also, the case that there are opposite colored bishops are good for white, because white can attack on the light squares on g6, h7, and so on, and black cannot defend with his bishop on c5 because it's the wrong color. So white took on b8, rook takes b8, and then Nakamura just played the move g3 to bring his king out, rook to f8, king g2, bishop b6, h4. So Nakamura prepares to play h5 to attack the pawn on g6, queen c5, but there's no threat. Queen f2 check, simply met by king h3. So Nakamura played f4, queen f5, queen c4, queen f6, rook e5. Nakamura played very active and puts his rook on a beautiful square on e5, queen d6, c3, to play against something like queen d4, because Nakamura don't want to trade queens, queen a3, king h3, queen d6, queen e4, bishop c5, and now h5. Queen d7 check, king g2, bishop d6, rook e6, rook f6. Gukesh tries to protect the pawn on g6, but then the rook enters the back rank, bishop f8, queen a8, queen d6, just attack. And now it's already some kind of mate. Takes, and queen c8 with the threat of queen h3 check and bishop c4 with mate or huge material win. Queen c5 to protect the square on c4, but then just bishop e4 to give a check on d5. And same threat again, g5. Now black has the possibility to bring the rook to h6, but of course white can just take. Queen f2 check, king h3, and the king seems not so safe on h3, but it is, because, for example, after queen h1, a queen f1 check, there's bishop g2, and completely, no more checks. Rook f7, g6, rook f6 back, queen g4, another mating threat was queen h4, check, bishop g2, queen c1, but now bishop h4 check, queen h6, and after bishop d5, Gukesh resigned because bishop f7 cannot be stopped, and then rook takes f8 is mate. Yeah, as you can see, Gukesh just had to make some moves, but he couldn't do anything active. He had no threats anymore, and Nakamura just attacked the pawn on g6, activated his pieces, and it was game over. So f takes g6, that was a critical moment where Gukesh had to play h takes g6. And for me, it was very surprising because the positions look very similar. First, I thought that it doesn't matter if you take with the h or f pawn, but it does. Please subscribe to the channel and see you next video.